Hope everyone's well out there. We are live and alive on today, Monday, the 14th of April. It's a new week, new bunch of videos lined up. What are we doing today? What are we doing this morning? Well, today we're brewing Teville, the balanced scale. This is the second Teville, or Teval, that we have looked at. The other one is the Delvey one. This is the one from the Commander product. Fortunately, if I'm kind of looking at the Commander decks, kind of like, they don't super go into too much build-arounds on certain cards. So fortunately, Teville, I think, is the coolest one, and the Commander deck, or the Precon, gives you like a nice space, but it doesn't really push it as much as I think you can. So let's read what it does. Teville, the balanced scale, is 1 and a Sultai, the perfect mana cost, for a 4/4 legendary creature Spirit Dragon with flying, and when it attacks, mill 3 cards. You may then return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. And whenever 1 or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. So this is in line of like the 2025. Ooh, voice is a bit harsh, a bit hoarse this morning. In terms of like the 2025 style of commanders, it kind of does a little bit of everything, and there is a world where it might just be too efficient. But can you be too efficient when you're in Sultai? Like, I kind of went in a bit hard on the Abzan one last week, but the Sultai one, perfect, no notes. So with this card, it is both the engine and the reward as well. That I do feel that is a bit not lazy design, but it is kind of like a. We know exactly how this deck is going to work based on what the commander is telling us to do. We are going to want to be doing more milling, because effectively it is a Sultai graveyard deck. The graveyard is a resource. But what's interesting about Teville and like the new like hotness in terms of graveyard decks is this line of text: when 1 or more cards leave your graveyard. So previously, graveyard decks would just reward you for the amount of things in your graveyard. It would either be total number of things in a graveyard, total number of things in all graveyards, total number of creatures in all graveyards, total number of instant or sorceries in all graveyards, that kind of stuff. It'd be like one of those categories. It'd be just like a, or with the Delirium decks, like total number of different types of things in graveyards. Whereas what this is doing is rewarding you for moving things around. It's actually quite interesting because effectively it's an extra little bit of value you can get, because with a lot of those graveyard decks, the way you would build them is just self-mill, put as much into your graveyard as possible. There's still the element with this deck. We still want to put a lot of things into our graveyard, but we also want to be rewarded when we take things out of our graveyard, when we cast spells, when we flashback creatures, when we reanimate stuff. With Teville, we're going to be rewarded with a 2/2 black zombie. The fact that Teville itself is a flying uncosted creature that, when it attacks, also mills and does the reward as well is kind of nuts. Yeah, very dumb card. Basically, I think this might not be the first card that kind of that did it. I think there was like a couple beforehand that did something similar. But effectively, it's the Insidious Roots deck. I know people who've built Insidious, like basically built decks where Insidious Roots is basically the commander. Insidious Roots is a very fun and very strong magic card, and it rewards you when 1 or more creatures leave your graveyard, when stuff leaves your graveyard. And there's a growing number of cards that do this, that reward you when things leave your graveyard. So that's how we're going to be that's the flavour of this self-mill deck. We're going to be filling up our graveyard, and we're going to be rewarding ourselves when things leave the graveyard. You might ask how you get things to leave the graveyard. So it is recursion. Recursion is things leaving the graveyard. Teval will do it itself. Teval returns a land. That is things leaving the graveyard. There's things like Delve, going from graveyard. Like it doesn't matter where it's going. If it's going into play, awesome, that's leaving the graveyard. It could be going to our hand. That's leaving the graveyard. It could be going into exile again with Delve. That's all leaving the graveyard. That's all very good. The other thing And the main thing that we're going to be looking at is, for milling purposes, you also have dredgers. Dredgers are exceedingly powerful ways of milling, of self-milling. You basically replace a draw step with, if you would draw a card, you may mill that many cards instead, equal to the dredge number. So you're going to be continuing to... So with dredgers, if this is in your graveyard, you're going to be continuing filling up your graveyard, fueling what your deck wants, and also triggering all your stuff that cares about things leaving the graveyard, because this goes from your graveyard back to your hand. Dredgers are very good with Insidious Roots, and they're very good with Teville. The other thing that is you shouldn't sleep on with Teville, and one of the reasons why I think it's kind of really good, is that with Dredge decks, one key aspect of it is that you generally tend to miss land drops. The reason for that is, on your upkeep, in your draw step, you often are replacing your draw step with dredging. I maybe do it a bit too much. I need to be aware that you do need to hit your land drops, but like generally the play pattern is you dredge on your draw step if you really want to start getting that self-mill going. And that means that you can often miss your land drops because you're not drawing that card to fill up your hand. Your graveyard becomes a extension of your hand, therefore you don't really need your cards in your hand that much. Teville mills you, and then it returns a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it's letting you hit your land drops. It's almost been designed perfectly for that deck. It's like it's all three parts: milling, hitting land drops, and the reward for doing the thing the deck wants is all kind of perfect, and it does really fit that slot. And it is the Sultai colors, which gives us access to everything that we need. So, let's jump in. We've got our sections up here. So we're going to be looking for 10 more cards that reward us for leaving our graveyard. We're going to have 18 or so self-milled or card draw effects, 10 bits of interaction, 10 bits of ramp, and 10 bits of recursion or play from graveyard, and 6 win cons. Someone did ask me in the comments how we work these out. Basically, the interaction and ramp kind of stays the same. I think every commander deck needs at a minimum 10 bits of interaction, 10 bits of ramp. The rest is just working out how you're splitting up your engine of your deck. Like, having some cards dedicated to be win cons I think is important, because I think games need to end. So, basically, they're all kind of around the 8 number. The 8 number is roughly means you are going to see one if you in a game of Magic. In your opening 7 and just going through like 8 to 10 turns, you are going to see on average at least one. The card draw ups your chances of doing that, which is good. And kind of like you adjust depending on what the deck is trying to do. So this deck needs self-mill card draw. So we've doubled that number because it's something the deck really wants. Same with recursion. Like, this is going to be a self-mill deck. We're going to be putting a bunch of stuff into our graveyard. We want access to it. Therefore, we want to be able to play things from our graveyard. Therefore, we're going slightly above the average of 8 with 10. Again, these numbers are not hard and fast. These are here so that if you want to build a deck yourself, you can... Like if you don't like the 18 bits of self-mill card draw I've picked, you can pick ones that suit you better. Everyone's budgets are different, everyone's playstyles are different. Play the cards that you like to play, you'll enjoy Magic more. But let's do the first section. Let's do Leaves Graveyard. So obviously we have Insidious Roots. So creature tokens you control have tap, add one mana of any card. That is very strong. But then it has the line of text that we care about. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a counter on each plant you control. So this is rewarding us for cards leaving our graveyard by making us a plant token, and then when we keep doing it, they get bigger and bigger, and also they tap for mana. So again, works really well in this style of deck where, generally speaking, we're not hitting our land drops as much. Teville does alleviate that, but just more mana is more mana. We don't normally get ramp as you would normally know it in Dredge decks. It's normally you get like a couple of mana dorks that mill you, but you generally get like big bursts of mana when you return all your lands from your graveyard to play in one turn. But we are going to do a quick search for leave graveyard, because that is kind of the that's kind of the way that these are started to be templated. So we're going to look in Sultai, leave graveyard. Let's see what we get. So here's a new one actually. Amzu Swarm's Hunger. This is one I found recently. Only really realised came out recently. 3 and a Golgari for 3/3 legendary creature insect shaman with flying menace, and other insects you control have menace. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, you may create a 1/1 black and green insect creature token, then put a number of plus counters on them equal to the greatest mana among those cards. Do this only once each turn. So, whenever a card leaves our graveyard, we make that many 1/1 black insect tokens. So you kind of see this is leaning into sort of a tokeny deck, which is kind of weird for this kind of, for like a self-mill graveyard deck. Isn't generically tokens, but there are, like, it's one of the things of it used to be you just used to pick how your win con went. So like Sidisi was more of a tokeny deck because it rewarded you for things going into your graveyard. Maybe Sidisi will get in the deck, but like the token part was kind of like was the reward, but like the end goal was still filling up your graveyard and putting a bunch of stuff there. So this is kind of leading us tokeny immediately with Amzu and Sidisi. So maybe we'll keep Sidisi and maybe we'll keep a couple of other cards in mind. Chalk Outline, another solid magic card. 3 and a green. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 white and blue detective creature token, then investigate. So this is also rewarding us as well. Right. This is another one down here. Defiled Crypt and Cadaver Lab is a room. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a 2/2 black horror enchantment creature token. This ability triggers only once each turn. And when you unlock this door, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So this does a bit of everything. We're more playing this for the Defiled Crypt, but the Cadaver Lab is a nice little trigger for all of these. So that's very good. Alright. Discarded Tomb is a classic one. I think this is one of the earlier ones. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 1/1 black bat creature token with flying. And one thing we're noticing immediately with all of these is they generally only trigger once a turn, or they only trigger, or it's whenever one or more. It's not whenever a card leaves your graveyard, do this. It's whenever one or more, which is kind of boring and fun, or boring and unfun because it means that Living Death doesn't work as we entirely want it to. So it means that we want lots of little instances of things leaving graveyards, not big things of things leaving graveyards. So Dredge's Insight is another cool one. Whenever one more card leave your graveyard, whenever one more artifacts and or creature cards leave your graveyard, you gain 1 life. When this enters mill 4 cards, you may put a creature card from among the mill cards into your hand. So this does a bit of everything. It is a leave graveyard primarily. That's why we're going to get in the deck. But the fact that it mills us, does a bit of everything, we love all that. Where else are we? Opponent's graveyard. I really like this Golem, actually. Just having a sack outlet in your graveyard is really nice. And the Ring Tempts You is kind of a cool mechanic. Well, I like it. Maybe it doesn't get in, but... Kishless Skimmer. Simic mana, 2/2, fly. Whenever a card leaves your graveyard during your turn, draw a card. This trigger ability triggers only once each turn. So, importantly, why this is going to get in the deck. So, it's a nice bit of card draw, a nice bit of card advantage. But also, we can replace that card draw a card with Dredge. Anytime you see draw a card on a card, you can replace it with Dredge. So that's going to be very strong, because effectively it lets us double dip with Dredges on a turn. So how this kind of works is we could, if on upkeep, or if in our draw step, we have this in play and 2 Dredges in our graveyard, we dredge the first one, that card leaves our graveyard, goes to our hand, we mill a bunch of cards, triggers Kishless Summoner, because a card has left our graveyard, and then we get to do it again. So double dredging at the start of a turn, very strong. We love that. Where else do we have? Right, Skeleton Crew is a cool one. 3 and black, 3/3 each. Other creature you control that's a skeleton or a pirate gets +1/+1. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create 2/2 black skeleton creature tokens. Skeleton pirate. So because of this, it makes 3/3s. And it also has the ability to return it from the graveyard to the battle tap, so it can come back itself. Being able to come back yourself is very good in these decks. That's why our recursion play from graveyard stuff is going to be quite high. Because one thing with self-milling means you don't have access to the cards. Or you need ways of accessing the cards. So things that can do it from the graveyard are going to be really strong. So we've got 8 of these now. That's a good number. We obviously have Teville. But right, we have Sir Conrad the Grim. This might just actually be a win con. This card's messed up in this deck. Sir Conrad the Grim, 3 black, 5/4. Whenever another creature dies or a creature card is put into your graveyard from anywhere other than the battlefield, or a creature card leaves your graveyard, Sir Conrad the Grim gives 1 damage to each opponent. I'm actually just going to call this a win con. This card is nuts. This card is this is whenever a creature, whenever a creature card leaves your graveyard. So this is not the once a turn fairness. This is just they messed up with this one, basically, and we love it. This is one of the strongest cards in the deck. If we mill 5 creatures into our graveyard with Sir Conrad in play, each opponent takes 1. So Conrad is messed up. Yeah, one of the strongest cards in the deck. Because it can also mill as well, which we love. A new one is Teville's Judgment. This is from the Precon. I know that the Precon, that we could be doing this as a upgrade the Precon kind of deck, but everyone's doing those. I'm going to build this deck properly. That's why we're here. So Teville's Judgment, 2 and a black. Whenever one or more creature cards leave your graveyard, choose one that hasn't been chosen this turn. Draw a card, create a treasure token, create a 2/2 black zombie druid creature token. So this does a bit of everything. It does the Kishla skimmer thing of letting us double dip, double dredge. I love a double dredge in the morning. Alright, leaves graveyard. And then lastly, we have Tormod the Desecrator. 3 and a black. Whenever one or more cards leave your graveyard, create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. So this is going to get in. Just making us tokens. So you can kind of see that we are almost a token deck. With all of these, Amzu, Chalk Outline, Defiled Crypt, Discarded Tomb, Insidious Root, Skeleton Crew, Teville's Judgment, and Tormod the Desecrator, all but like 2 make us tokens. So that is something we will need to consider going forward, is that effectively this is sort of a token. This is a token adjacent deck. So actually, let's do our self-mill, draw a card type stuff. So because of all the because I do actually think we are going Sidisi. Like, this is not the most efficient bit, like, because it enters and mills 3, but like, I think we are going token adjacent actually. Yeah, this is how this deck is going to win. Like, it's kind of on the commander already anyway. And because this sort of, it is a self-mill card. The rest of our self-mill is going to be way more efficient and quite a bit stronger. But just as a base, having Sidisi in the deck, I also love Sidisi. I still have, it was one of my first commander decks from original cards. Love this card, love this deck. Let's actually get the, hold on. So I also use some of my cubes for reference. I'll put links to both of them in the show notes. I generally use my generic unpowered vintage one for just good cards, and then my Treat Yourself cube for more synergistic cards. So there is a card I want. I'm going to bring up Kessid Cagebreakers now. We'll get this in the deck now. 4 and a green, 3/4. When it attacks, put a 2/2 green wolf creature token onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking for each creature card in your graveyard. So this really does go into the number of stuff in graveyard, token-y style of deck. I think we'll add this as a win con now just because it was on my mind. And then we'll go back to our regularly scheduled program of, let's get some self-mill in here. So, how are we going to do this? Let's get the dredges in first. Let's get the dredges in. Dredge can be a bit of a scary one to pick up. You kind of hear you hear Dredge, and there's the connotations of like super broken decks in like modern and standard. Oh no, not standard. In like modern and like legacy and vintage. And yeah, they're broken. They play weird. You are playing very different Magic. A lot of your stuff doesn't require you using mana. Like all this happens just from you triggering draw a card. Hello, small cat. You alright? Life in the Loam is probably one of the strongest dredgers because of what I was saying earlier about you not hitting your land drops. For 2 mana, this just lets you hit your land drop every turn. 1 on a green, dredge 3, return up 3 target lands from your graveyard to your hand. Incredibly important. Like this, Life in the Loam is probably the strongest, even though Golgari Greatroll is one that's banned everywhere. It's banned everywhere because it is a dredge 6. And again, we'll get Stack More Salvage in just as a land, but any mention of card draw at any point in anything, we can replace that with a dredge, and that is very strong. If you have instant speed ways of, discarding cards, you can put them into the graveyard pretty quickly. Dark Blast as well, as long as there's a creature in play, you can just Dark Blast something, even if the creature doesn't die, just to put Dark Blast back into your graveyard. That's pretty good. So, like, upkeep, Dark Blast something, dredge it back in your draw step, pretty good. Golgari Thug is the worst one, but it has Dredge 4, so we have to run it. This is really annoying, because when it dies, you put a creature card from your graveyard on top. So it oddly works with this deck, because it will put a creature card from our graveyard on top of our library, so it will do the synergy, but often you don't want things on top of your library. I generally find Golgari Thug to be more of a hindrance. But you shouldn't really be casting Golgari Thug. These great... if you cast Life on the Loam, fine. That's part of the game plan, that's okay. If you cast Golgari Greatroll, things aren't really going to plan. If you cast Stinkers here, I get it, you need a flying blocker. If you cast any of the other dredgers for just like trying to get them into play, then something has gone very wrong. These are game pieces. These are ways of moving cards around. These are not like you don't play Shambling. You don't cast Shambling Shell. This card is vintage playable, but you don't cast it. It is purely a dredger that you can pitch to the green force. Alright, so we're not going to run Necroplasm, purely because it is a bit of a nombo. Destroy each creature with converted mana cost equal number of counters on it. Oh, actually, so it doesn't do tokens? Maybe, I don't know. Dredge 2 is kind of okay, but we are generally here for... Because we're not casting them, we are here for the bigger numbers. So Golgari Brownscale also gives us a little bit of life gain when it leaves our graveyard, which is quite nice. Let's get Greater Mossdog in here. Again, we're never casting it. Alright, the self-milled card draw. So that's great. So we have a good amount of dredges. We're probably not going to run all of them. Also, Graveshell Scarab, despite being a rare, is a dreadful Magic card. Dredge 1? Are you mad? Alright, let's just get some big... so before we go to the big mill, let's talk about Tortured Existence. This card has always been awesome and cool. It's gone up quite a bit recently because of decks like this. This is one of the best enablers. So for a single black, you can choose and discard a creature card to return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is probably one of the best cards in the deck. This and Insidious Roots or any of these is nuts, because each of these is an individual moment, if you want to say, of something leaving your graveyard. So each time you pay a black and put a creature into your bin and bring something back, this will trigger. This will trigger everything. What's great as well is this lets us put dredgers back into our bin, because one thing that can happen with dredgers is you mill them, you dredge them back, you fill up your graveyard, awesome, and then you just end up with a handful of dredgers. That's not really what you want. You want ways of discarding as well. Discarding is extremely strong in dredge decks. That's why, like, Faithless Looting That's why the banning of Phaser Suiting kind of really killed Dredge in Modern for a long time. Because you need cheap, efficient ways of discarding cards on your hand. So Torch Existence, 100% getting in. Messed up magic card. It lets you swap something that you want with something you don't want. So, like, say Tormod is in our bin, with Torch Existence out, all we have to do is dredge one of these back, we get a creature in our hand, we can then swap them round for a single black. Messed up magic card, incredibly strong. Let's just go for the mill now. So we will have mill in other sections of our deck, but we're just going to go for some super efficient bits now for self-milling. EDH rank, please, and thank you. Alright. So, Altar of Dementia. Okay, Altar of Dementia is a reason to cast Greater Moss Dog. 2 mana, sack a creature, target player puts a number of cards equal to the sacrifice creature's power from the top of their library into their graveyard. Very strong magic card. This also broke Vintage? No, Legacy. Legacy, wasn't it? This and this and Hogak broke Modern as well. Love all these things. Whoop. We are probably going to Hogak, actually, in this deck. Actually, we are definitely going to Hogak in this deck. Let's just quickly add Hogak before we forget. Hogak, very big, very broken magic card. This is going to go into our win cons. But this is just a great way of using our graveyard for value. Also, with these tokens, it will also leave the graveyard. You can cast this from the graveyard. And with all the dorky little tokens that we're making in this section, it's kind of perfect for Hogak, actually. And it is an 8/8 trample at the end of the day. Like, I know it's commander and things scale up, but an 8/8 trample will still kill people. While it's trigger everything else we're doing, we do love Hogak in this deck. We stand Hogak in this household. Alright, I don't think we're Mind Crank. One thing you will notice is that a lot of these do care about... It's either cards, lands, or creatures. Some of them are artifacts, actually. Generally, these are because of the win cons, because of things like Kessage Case Breakers and Sidisi. We are still in the realm of wanting more of our effects on creatures than anything else. It does just, from a base level, make your win cons that little bit easier. To just pack the deck full of creatures, basically. What else do we have? 6 is quite nice. When it attacks, mill 3 cards. You may put a land card from among them into your hand. Again, this will trigger a bunch. This will trigger the ones that say whenever a card leaves your graveyard. So it is a bit different. So whenever one or more cards, creature cards. So you see, there is a difference here. But 6 is a very strong one. Because also, it can put lands. Giving stuff retrace is also quite nice. Effectively, this is both mill and ways of playing stuff from our graveyard, which we do like. Self-mill, draw card. So just supply is just super efficient. 1 mana creature that itself mills 6 cards, incredibly good. I don't think I can be bothered to. We're not brain freezing yet. There is a better World Shaper which we will add in a moment. Ripples of Undead, I think, is really good in this. At the beginning of your pre-combat main phase, mill 3 cards, then you may pay 1 and lose 3 life if you do put a card from among those into your hand. So it's putting things into our graveyard, then we can pay 1 and lose 3 life, and then move it back into our hand. We are moving cards around zones, it's kind of everything we want. We'll call this self-mill, because it is from among those, it's not any card. So, very cool card. Aftermath Analyst. This is the one we were talking about. So 1 and a green, 1/3. Whenever Aftermath Analyst enters the battlefield, mill 3 cards, and you can pay 3 and a green. Sack it, return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. This is the best version of this effect as far as I'm concerned. Like, we had World Shaper earlier, but it needs to die. This has it all built in, and it's cheaper. With everything else, you want lots of incidental things leaving graveyard, because everything will only trigger once, apart from Sir Conrad, because obviously Sir Conrad's broken. But with everything apart from lands, we want that to be the 1x 1 trigger type thing. But with lands, we don't care. Like, if we're returning 15 lands from my graveyard into play, I don't care I only get 1 zombie token, because I've got 15 lands. That's broken. This This could be considered ramp, but we are going to put it in our self-mill because that's why it's going into the deck in the first place. It's 2 mana, it mills 3 cards. Very broken. So we are actually kind of getting to the top. We might up this number a little bit just because there's a bunch of cool cards. We're going to add Mesmeric Orb. Mesmeric Orb is incredibly broken for a couple of reasons in this deck. It's going to self-mill, draw card. So, importantly for things like Sidisi, Mesmeric Orb isn't you untap 5 lands, you mill 5 cards. It's whenever each individual thing becomes untapped, you mill something individually. So this is lots of little triggers. So if you untap 10 things on your turn and you have Mesmeric Orb out, if you mill 10 creatures with Sidisi, you will make 10 tokens. On top of it just being a very good and very efficient way of just milling a bunch of cards. Mesmeric Orb will be getting in the deck. It's not as synergistic in this one. In fact, we only need one of them, we need 2. But it's a very strong magic card. Still a bit pricey, hopefully reprint. What's the one? $275, wild. Alright. Now we're just going to find cards I like. So we have 16, we want 2 more. Well, let's do... I can already see some that will overlap into other sections, so we might as well actually add them now. So Skull Prophet, we are going to add as ramp. It is a mana dork, so it's a creature. So for all the stuff that cares about creatures leaving our graveyard, that kind of stuff, it taps to. It is a creature in itself, and it taps to add mana, and also has the ability to tap to mill 2 cards. Very solid card. So this is going to be the start of our ramp. We'll start getting these in now, just so we have them. We're looking for them. We will get some more generic bits momentarily. Milliken, another really solid card. 2 mana, tap to add a colorless, mill a card. Not the most efficient bit, but very strong. Just the incidental mill. Again, it's synergy. It's everything coming together. Probably goes in every self-mill deck I run. Another card I want to talk about is Perpetual Timepiece. This also might get into every self-mill deck I have. People play Bojuka Bog. People play ways of mucking with graveyards. Perpetual Timepiece is your answer to that. Perpetual Timepiece is 2 generic mana for a card that says mill 2 cards. So, base level, it's fine. It's not amazing, it's not a dredger, but it's fine. 2, you can pay 2 generic to exile it, and shuffle any number of cards from your graveyard into your library. Now, this is not something that you want to be doing. You don't want to reshuffle your graveyard into your library the majority of the time. But if all of your win cons and all of your cool stuff is in your graveyard and someone tries to Bojuka Bog you, you want an answer to that. Yes, it's 2 mana and you have to leave 2 mana up, but normally, if you've Aftermath Analyst and returned all your lands into play and it's just all your win cons in the graveyard, this is really good. You should... Most graveyard decks should also run Perpetual Timepiece. For me, it's an auto-include. If you don't run it, it's because you're being greedy. And I know we love being greedy in Commander. But it is just important. It is an important piece. You need a way of protecting your graveyard. Some horrible people play Bojuka Bog. We're probably going to run a Bojuka Bog in this deck. Let's talk about Grist. So as we're finishing off self-mill card draw, but we are starting to fill up our other sections. Grist is phenomenal. As long as Grist isn't... so it counts as a creature in your graveyard, which is quite cool. And in your deck, so if you mill it over, it will actually trigger a bunch of stuff. You can also Torched Existence for Grist, which is from your graveyard back into your hand, which is awesome. +1, create a 1/1 black and green insect token... then mill a card. If you mill an insect, which we have a insect, so, you do it again. -2, sack a creature. When you do, destroy target creature or planeswalker, so it's removal. And then the -5, each opponent loses life equals the number of creature cards in your graveyard. So the -5 on this is one of a couple of reasons why we're looking for effects on creatures. Why we're going to be mana dorking with these things. Why we're looking at these kind of cards. So Grist gets in we're going to classify it as interaction, but it overlaps and does a bit of everything. Interaction. Alright. Let's have a quick look at this page, see if there's anything else obvious that we want to add before we just go into more generic bits of ramp and interaction. Hedron Crab is a great card. I love the crab. It's only 1 mana. When a land enters the Precon, when a land enters under your control, target player mills 3 cards. I don't hate that. It's 1 mana. I think let's add you. You can be our last bit of self-mill card draw. Marvellous. Self-mill card draw. That should just be self-mill. There's no cards that actually say draw a card in here at all. Don't worry about it. Everything's fine. If you don't want to go the Dredger route, you can go more the grapple with the past style of stuff, like creatures or spells that mill you. Because they are creatures, generally, I like the Dredgers. That's just me. Because stuff like Old Rutstein, and there's a few other ones that just like pay X and you mill. That kind of stuff's pretty good. Like Splinter Fright is a classic. Just creatures that are going to sit there and just generically mill you. These are also pretty good. Dreadhound can be a... whenever Dreadhound dies or a creature card is put into a graveyard from a library, you might lose one. So this, a lot of the time, is the same as Sir Conrad. In this deck specifically, it is not Sir Conrad. So we don't want that. But we do now want some interaction. So, first up, we're going to look for destroy, and we're going to look for discard, because I know that there's a couple that do this. What I was saying earlier about Dredgers getting stuck in our hands, we can run cards like Bitter Triumph in our interaction section. And again, we're only going to run a couple of non-creature spells, but as initial cost to cast this spell, discard a card or pay 3 life. Perfect for putting a Greater Moss Dog back in the bin, and just a very solid bit of interaction. Actually, probably the best bit of interaction, now I think about it. Let's see if anything else sticks out. Bone Shards I don't want as a sorcery. Spell Shapers. Let's have a look at some Spell Shapers. This is a cycle of cards that effectively you discard a card to get an effect, which is kind of actually what we want in this deck, where we are running a bunch of Dredgers. Some of these are good, some of these are very bad. Like Dreamscape Artist slaps. Discard a card, sack a land, search your library for up to 2 basic land cards, put them on the battlefield, then shuffle. So that's a repeatable Harrow. And we're discarding a card. Again, in a deck full of Dredgers, discarding a card is not a downside. So this is going to get in as ramp. It's not the most efficient ramp, but it is ramp in this deck. I don't think we want to go Bog Witch. Undertaker, discard a card, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. This is actually... I'm going to stick this in... This is going to fall under recursion play from graveyard, I guess. So would... Torch Resistant, actually, but it's just too efficient not to include there. Effectively, Undertaker is... The drop-off after Torch Existence is massive. Torch Resistance is like obscenely good magic card. You then have Undertaker somewhere down here. But it's still the kind of the second best out there. So this is going to be recursion / play from... We'll call it recursion because the Moxfield doesn't like long tags. Llanowar Mentor, another cool one. Green, tap, discard a card, create a 1/1 green elf druid creature token named Llanowar Elves. So this makes us Llanowar Elves. I did add this to my Elf Dredge deck, but I do like this card, so I'm going to add it. I need to remember with these videos, like, yes, I am trying to build... I'm trying to build a good deck here, but I am also building for me at the end of the day. I think that's kind of one thing I'm trying to take from these videos is... I'm building it how I want. I'm at least telling you why I'm doing it this way. Again, that Llanowar Mentor does count as ramp. It's not efficient ramp, but it's still ramp, and that is what's important. It's also a creature for like Kessie Cage Breakers and everything else. Therefore, it gets in. I think that might be it. What about Bouncer? Very strong magic up, but probably not for this deck. It's got to come from your hand for all combat damage. You don't want a fog. That's probably where we'll leave it for the Spell Shapers, but let's get some more ramp in here. So, what ramp do we want in here? So we have 4 bits, we need 10. It's probably Mana Dorks, if I'm honest with you. They kind of fill into everything that the deck is doing. Tap. Add? I'm assuming that's how you search for a Mana Dork. We want it to be a creature. This is probably what we're going to be looking at. EDH rank. Marvellous. So yeah, so how hard you want to try hard this is entirely up to you. We will add a birds, because we are a 3-colour deck. Can I be asked a Delighted Halfling? We're not that. Again, this is why the sections are at the top here. You can customize this how you want. We are going to try hard a little bit. So we are going to run Deathray Shaman. We're try-harding a little bit, not too much. So that's 6 bits of ramp. Let's do Elves of Deep Shadow, because it can fix for black, which is nice. Jaheira? Tokens you control, add a green. That's kind of vibey with all of these token makers. I don't know if that's right or not. And it is 3 mana, and we already have Dreamscape Artist, Millikan Inn, and Skull Prophet, so we probably can't, but I think Jaheira could be a fun choice in here. We are going to run Fanatic of Ronus, because it's tap, add a green, and then add 4 green if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. Oh look, we have Teville in the command zone, love that for us. But it also has Internalize, which is very strong. Internalize lets you play it from the graveyard, we love that for us. This is going to get in. I just need 2 more. We have Skull Prophet. Let's see if we can be cheeky and just add the word graveyard. See if, for what ever synergizes here. Bog Brawler. Ooh, Werebear. Oh yes. Add a green, threshold. Yes, threshold, it becomes a 4/4 if we have 7 things in our graveyard. This is not correct, but this is very much the I want to run Werebear in a commander deck in 2025. Run Llanowar Elves, people. Alright, let's just... We will actually just add a Llanowar Elves, but yeah. Don't run Werebear, run Elvish Mystic instead, but I want Werebear. Making my deck actively worse, but like 1,000 times cooler, which is what's important at the end of the day. Alright, so we do have our... Let's quickly... about 10-15 minutes left. So we do have our ramp, we have our leave graveyard stuff, we have our self-mill, we have some of our interaction. We do need more interaction. So let's get that in now. So, interaction. I might just go to my cubes just because I know I have a Teville archetype in my Treat Yourself cube. Teville needs to go in. I'll quickly show you it. But we have in Sultai. This was already there before they started spoiling this set, which is cool and good. Oh look, it's basically this deck. Put a bunch of stuff, graveyard shenanigans, put a bunch of things into your graveyard, move them around, and profit. So Sidisi, Insidious Roots, and Keswick Jade were already in my cube. So I'm just going to use this as just as a quick way of getting some ideas for the more generic bits. Like, so you can see we already have things like Just Supply in here. What bits of interaction do we want? The Ravenous Chupacabra, solid card. It's a creature that kills something. 4 mana is quite a bit, but... Oh, can you not copy and... Does this work? It worked! I'm always surprised when technology works exactly as intended. So you can see we already have Skeleton Crew. Necron Deathmark, I love this card. Flash, 5/3. When it enters the battle, destroy up to 1 target creature card and target player mills 3 card. So, it comes in, it kills something, and it mills us. We love that for us. That might be it. Ooh, no, Shriekmaw. evoking this, again, it's not the most efficient. Like, non-black, non-artifact, in a world where everything's multiple colours now, because of triomes, not the most efficient anymore, but still good. It does what we need it to. Alright, got about 10 minutes or so left. What else do we want? Well, we do obviously want Dredge, but we'll get to that in a minute. So we need 5 more bits of interaction. Let's just go for some generic bits, just because I want to get this video completed and I want to have a full deck. So, Murderous Rider. It is a creature in the bin, but it has the ability to destroy something. I think that's pretty solid. Murderous Rider can get in. What else? Murderous Cut, actually. This is a good shout. Murderous Cut is 4 and a black. Delve, destroy target creature. As we mentioned, Delve does mean that if we delve stuff away from our bin, things are leaving our graveyard, it will trigger all of the leave graveyard stuff. So that's good. So we can definitely add Murderous Cut in there. We still need 3 more. I don't have any board wipes yet. Okay. Let's... there is a... If we're going vibes, there is a... who knows what Echo does? Echo, destroy. There is a card that puts itself into a graveyard. Another classic of the graveyard decks, Bone Shredder. 2 and a black, flying Echo, which means the beginning of your upkeep. If you came under control of this since the last turn, you have to pay the Echo cost, otherwise you sacrifice it. Echo, really bad. But when it enters, destroy target non-black, non-artifact creature. So this is 3 mana for a sorcery, effectively. Destroy target non-black creature. Non-artifact, non-black creature. But then it puts itself in the graveyard, which is kind of what we want. Interaction can get in. Also, things like Shriekmaw and Bone Shredder, we can also sack to things like Altar of Dementia, which is quite nice. We do love that. So we have these. We need board wipes. Destroy all. So board wipes are probably going to be a bit generic, again, just because we are getting near the end. Well, let's just add... let's add a Damnation, just so we have some way of interacting with our opponent's boards. But any of these would be fine. If there was one on a creature, actually, that might be a vibe. Like, you could Bane of Progress, maybe. We just want a way of just punching all of our opponent's creatures. I don't hate Avatar. Avatar of Woe, if there are 10 or more creature cards totaling in all graveyards, the spell costs 6 less. Then it's just... so it's black for a 6/5 that has to tap destroy target creature. It's not terrible. I like it anyway. Let's see if there is a creature that does this. There is not. What do you do? Artifacts and creatures other than... I mean... I don't hate it. Do I hate this? I think... I don't know. It is big. It is a reanimator target. We are going to have some reanimation in here. Jesus Christ. So I'm going to be a bit lazy and just put Toxic Deluge in. But this is where... Actually, no, hold on. Oh, sorry. There is a big fight, actually. We can... 4 deals... damage. I think there's a big green creature that punches a bunch of things when it comes in. That might be... dot damage, creature. And it is a creature. Yeah, there's like a big thing that... I think there's a big dinosaur that punches like 5 things when it comes in. That could be a pretty good way... That could be a more... efficient board wipe. But it's not immediately coming up. Let's just look for fight then. This is it. When it enters the battlefield, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. Oh no, that's only one creature. Whenever it fights, it deals... Oh, no, sorry. But in rage, whenever it's dealt damage, it fights up to one target creature you don't control. So this is going to be our board wipe. Our creature-based board wipe. Is it right? Who knows? But it's more... It's less generic-y than just doing Toxic Deluge. Alright. So again, we have about 5 or so minutes. What are we missing? So we need some win cons and some recursion. Cool. All right. So Dread Return is getting in. One of the best bits of recursion in the deck. 4 mana, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, or flashback, sacrifice 3 creatures. The flashback is incredible in this because again, we're a deck that's making a bunch of dorky tokens with this stuff, with our Insidious Roots package. So Dread returning and back, phenomenal. This is going to be recursion. How many did we want? We want 55 cards. Cool. So we probably want another little bit. So let's just go look at recursion. What else do I have in my cubes? I forgot about that one. Do we just want generically good bits? Potentially. Recurring Nightmare would be so good in this, but unfortunately not. So there are other recursion-y play from graveyard stuff, which we'll actually get in now. I think some of these are in the deck. So Conduit of Worlds is a great card. 4 mana, you may play lands from your graveyard. Tap, choose target non-land permanent card in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that spell. If you do, you can only cast... You can't cast additional spells this turn, actually owns a sorcery. So this is... So, again, a lot of these are whenever a card leaves your graveyard. Cards include lands. So having like a Crucible effect is going to be really good. Also, it lets us hit our land drops, which we love. The other one we're going to look at is Walking Closet. You may play lands from your graveyard for the Walking Closet, or Forgotten Cellar, 3 green. Whenever you unlock this door, you may cast spells from your graveyard this turn, and if you can't be put into graveyard from anywhere in turn, exile instead. So that's a Yorgamos Will, which is nuts. Love having a random Yorgamos Will in this deck, but we're mainly playing it for playing lands from graveyards. That's pretty good. I know, Meow. It's pretty good, isn't it? Pretty good. What else do we have? Ooh, Commander Staple Lion's Eye Diamond. Marvellous. Ooh, I do like Currency Converter, actually. That kind of slaps. Right, recursion. Let's just do return. So this section does overlap a little bit with cards we mentioned. So some of our self-mill, like Tortured Existence, that will kind of that will do double duty. Meow. You've been fed and watered. What's up? You just want to say hello? Oh, you do. Love you, darling. All right. Let's add some cool cards. I love a Victimize. Choose 2 target creature cards in your graveyard. Sacrifice a creature if you do return chosen cards. So again, because we have so many dorky tokens, this is really good. We love this. I know, Meow. What else? I know Ooh, Merrin Slaps. See, Merrin's pretty good. Merrin is a great way of moving stuff from our graveyard back into our hand or into play if we get more experience counters. Ooh, actually, we can do this cool little package. I actually want to look at this. I've done this index before, and it's really fun. In this deck, where we have a bunch of small creatures, small tokens, we have Merrin to get stuff back, but we also have Azuri. Whenever a creature with power 2 or less enters the battle under your control, you get an experience counter. So having these work with each other, Merrin and Azuri, having both of them in a deck, work really well together. We'll call this a win con because it will also make a creature massive. And actually, we have a 4/4 flyer in the command zone, so that's pretty good. Profane Command. Love that. Let's have a look. Target player live return. Target creature card with mana value X. Go to the battlefield. Ooh, and a nice bit of removal as well. Perfect. Thank you for that, AC. Recursion. Right. I think we're pretty good. Papa Flowers, the list will... Oh, sorry, want to see the list. Yeah, if you want to send it over. We only have a few minutes, but You send it over, I might be able to have a quick look before we finish up. Maybe 1 or 2 more bits of recursion, then we'll look on some win cons. What else is good? Stitched Together is pretty fun. I do like Out of the Tombs. Actually, I think we need... There's one card I think we need just because of its ability to get back from the graveyard. Where is it? Timeless Witness is an Eternal Witness, but it has eternalized itself. So it can get itself back from the graveyard, and then it can bring another card with it. Very good at getting back another reanimation spell. Because we also need to look at win cons, we're just going to put Living Death in. It will only trigger all of these things once, but by God, it is fun. This is proper Magic, people. The wife is just calling. She is currently she's away, so I will answer her in a minute. Love you, wifey, if you're watching. Alright, we've got about 3 more cards. Let's just do some win cons. Because of time, we're going to go with the tried and true Jared Golgari Lichlord. Get +1 for each creature card in your graveyard, and you can pay this amount to sacrifice another creature. Each opponent loses life equal to the sacrificed creature's power. And you can sacrifice a swamp and a forest, return it from your graveyard to your hand. This is going to get in. Jared, great card. It's just going to fling things in our graveyards. And then what's the big creature that goes in most of these decks? Lord of Extinction. Power toughness equal to the number of cards in all graveyards. It also comes in the Precon from the looks of it, which we love. So the gimmick here is that you can fling mail yourself. Lord of Extinction is massive. Fling it. One last win con, that I think is cool, is Wonder. This is a great card to mill into our graveyard. As long as this card is in your graveyard and you control an island, creatures you control have flying. Giving our whole board flying. Incredibly strong. Not being able to block our board, I love that for us. Graveyard win cons. Cool. So the last thing we're going to look at, I will finish the lands probably later on today. We are just going to have a look quickly at lands that let us discard, because it is bonus, it's free. Alright, let's actually do it in our colours. This is, again, if Bazaar of Baghdad was cheap, we would be adding it, but unfortunately, reserve list. If you're wondering about the reserve list, what it is, we have a video on it. Also, episode of our podcast will be going live later on today. So Garrett Sancham, great card. Each player draws 2 cards and discarded cards. Helps us put things back into our bin. Same with Cephalid Colosseum. Helps us mill. This helps us put additional things into our graveyard, and it's free to run this on a land. Cool. That's probably where we're going to have to end it for today, just from a time point of view. I think this deck is pretty fun. I think this is sweet. This is kind of exactly what I want from this kind of graveyard shenanigans stuff. I've got all my dredges in here. Got my more self-mill. I've got some discard stuff. I have my cool win cons. I do love the Azuri... where is it? Under recursion. Merin package. That is a nice little thing. Try it out in your own decks. I love it. Yeah, this deck looks really fun. As I mentioned, I will finish off the tagging and I'll put all the lands in here. So this is 100 cards by the time everyone else is looking at it, if not watching it live. But for those who are watching, thank you all very much for being here. Do appreciate it. We love Teville. We love Sultai. How many more Sultai commanders are there from this set? Will we complete them all? Probably. Sultai is best. Sultai is love. Sultai is everything. But yeah. This set looks really fun. Let me know in the comments if there's any other commanders from the set you would like me to look at. There's some very cool ones. I do love 3-color commanders. It gives you so much flexibility. Like, we're not running too many blue cards, but like what we're able to splash is really cool. Like Wander is great, Azuri is great, Kishla Skimmer is deck. Muldrotha. Someone has said Muldrotha. Yes, we have room. Muldrotha is phenomenal magic card. Yeah, recursion. Why not? Yeah. Muldrotha lets us play a bunch of stuff from the bin. We love that. Cool. But yeah, that's where we're going to have to leave it for today. Need to start the day job. Thank you all very much for being here. We'll catch you again same time tomorrow. Until then, much love. You all take care. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.